And welcome back. Well, a report earlier this week from the United Nations indicated that 1 million species are under threat of extinction because of humans. Joining me now is Azzedine Downes. He is the president and CEO of the nonprofit organization, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, or ifaw, where they are celebrating 50 years of protecting animals, people, and our planet. Good morning to you, Azzedine.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. I think this the statistic that 1 million species are at risk of extinction because of humans is heartbreaking to hear. What have you found out from these studies?
You know, I know it's a lot of really bad news coming out this week. The UN report and that statistic of 1 million species facing extinction is really somber. And, you know, if you're following the media, you see a lot of people are really despairing that there's nothing that can be done. But our 50 years of experience tells us that that isn't true, that there is things that we can do. I'm really blessed to have Jane Goodall as a close friend, and her message is about hope. And we can't give up hope because we are living together increasingly with animals and people. And that's why we focus on our new brand with animals and people thriving together, because we're sharing the planet. We both call it home. So there are things that we can do. About 90% of problems that animals face and wildlife face are really about human behavior. So we are capable of being part of the solution. And if you look at many of the items mentioned in the report of what is happening, the number one thing that we really focus on is poaching. And that's a crime. And it's literally killed millions of animals for products that no one needs. So simply don't buy wildlife products. The other thing that's mentioned in the report and that we focus on as well is the loss of habitat. And why is it happening? It's a lot of it is happening because people are moving into animals' space. And the message there really is, are we willing to share the earth?
I think all of that is so helpful for us to think about, you know, our carbon footprint and the things that we're doing, as you said. As you talk about some of those pressing issues, I wonder how much climate change comes into play as well. I mean, clearly we as humans have our effect. How much is the earth, the climate change itself, affecting it?
Climate change is going to affect different animals in different ways. One of the things that is already happening is migration. And by that I mean that animals are moving from one space into another space. If you look at elephants in southern Africa, for example, because the climate is getting warmer, they're beginning to move from west to east, trying to find cooler places, more food. We're also looking at whales who are moving further and further north in search of food. So what's happening is the animals are moving out of protected spaces into places where people live. And the policies may not be in place to protect them, and people may not be aware that increasingly we are sharing the same space. And that's why we focus on the planet is our home. And it's really about changing behavior and creating a culture where people are willing to change some of the things that they do to ensure that we have space for wildlife.
You mentioned not buying those animal products. Are there a couple other things that just immediately we can do to help the problem?
Yeah, so I think there are three things to think about. One is consumption. What is it that you are buying? So wildlife products is clear, just don't buy them. But also think about things like plastic. Are you using a lot of plastic? Could you reduce it? How are you getting rid of it? You know, one of the other statistics in the report is, you know, again, 90% of seabirds, for example, find that they have plastic in their stomachs. The second thing, vote for people who support policies that protect animals, people, and the planet, which is our home. And lastly, please do go to our website. It's ifaw.org, ifaw.org. It's filled with incredible stories and very specific things that you can do to help us save ourselves and save animals.
I love it. We all have to live together. Thank you so much, Azzedine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.